What's up, guys? Been getting over a little cold, so I've been a little raspy, I guess, in the voice. But been running the work line. I've just been on the work line, and I've been kind of plunking away at it. I was wanting to get on some new properties this weekend, but it rained. It's going to rain some more this evening. I did set up one place. It's right close to home. It's like 5 miles from the house, and it's west of my house. So I did set it up.
Okay, so I just bedded the trap, and I put like a little slotted dirt hole in with my Pickmatic. And the ground is, as everyone knows, it's wet and clumpy. So over the past few weeks, I've been kind of putting stuff in my bucket and throwing my sifter in there, and having dirt in it still. So I'm just going to use all this stuff from my bucket. This has been in my truck, it's had all kinds of different smells on it. But I was thinking, man, I need to clean this bucket out anyways. So I'll just go ahead and use this. Get a little bit more of it. Alright, so that's pretty much what she's going to look like. I was using all this powder shit earlier in the season. Get you a little spoiled. And then we'll just guide it like that. Pretty basic. Looks pretty I don't know, elementary or whatever you want to call it. Like and then I'll just bait that hole, and hopefully we'll catch. I'm trying to catch a little red fox down here off this farmland, so the wind's blowing towards the camera right now. So hopefully he'll push over into that farmland. That's all stoned, and they drive heavy equipment in here. And through the years, I've lost a few traps trying to finagle a way to set a trap over in there. So I just kind of set off a little bit of the 2-track. But
I did show how I put the trap in and everything, but yeah, I ended up catching a few coyotes the other day. Caught a red fox, caught some more coyotes in between then, and then today I picked up one coyote and a possum, and the whoever it was, I don't know, it was probably a deer hunter, because the Orange Army was out and about this weekend, and someone had dispatched my coyote, which is unfortunate. And I think, the guys think they're doing you a favor by doing it, but sometimes when you're using binoculars to scan a field or look for your sets or look to see if you got something, that can kind of mess with you a little bit, especially when you've already had a catch there and there's already a catch circle. So luckily it wasn't too far from the road, and I could see with my binoculars that there was a coyote in it. But I ended up going down and getting him out, and then I pulled that trap because it was just such a bad wet remake. So I just pulled the trap and just made a fresh set outside the catch circle, like 2 or 3 feet away. Nothing crazy. I actually went a little bit farther back into the waterway, the grass strip there. But so far, I've had a pretty good year. I am at 109 coyotes and I'm at 16 red fox. My catch, my non-target catch, has actually been significantly low. I mean, I think I'm less than 15 coon, and I'm less than, I would say less than 12 possums. Maybe with that one today, it puts me over a dozen. But you know, last year at this time, I was catching quite a few of each, and I don't know if it was maybe the bait that I used this year, that blackout bait that Marty Smith let me try out. I use a lot of his products and think they're phenomenal. But I think I gave him a suggestion on a name, and it's Moab, Moab, you know, mother of all bombs. And instead of the bombs, I was like, why don't you call it mother of all baits? So it's a top notch bait, and I think it's going to do really well for me, and especially in the years to come, because I plan on adding that one as well as his Nelson formula and his kick-ass predator bait. I like those three a lot, really. And I'm anxious to see. I ran it, you know, the first few weeks. It was a drought here in Ohio. It was like powder dirt. It was great, you know, access conditions, but the ground was hard as concrete. So putting in sets, I was actually using a pickmatic a lot of the times, trying to use an auger, but then the auger would just kind of stop eating and stop digging into the ground. So I would just take my pickmatic where the auger was, where I had the auger hole, and I would just swing as hard as I could and, you know, waller out a hole with the pickmatic. And that worked really well, and it was actually big enough that I could, you know, put my bait applicator down into it and scrape it off into the bottom of the hole or bottom of that little slot, and then take a shot of urine and just squirt it down to the bottom of that as well. So yeah, I primarily just used, for those first 100 coyotes, the only bait I used was the blackout bait. So yeah, it kicked ass, and I ended up using a little bit over a half gallon. He sent me a gallon of it. I've got a little less than a half gallon now. I use it. I mean, and I like to use a nice size bit of bait down the hole, and I use a good shot of high quality urine, not the fake urine that you get from some dealers and whatnot, and not any of that watered down or tinctured or cut urine. It's the top notch stuff. So it's been actually a really good start to the season. I'm thinking, last year my goal was to catch 100 coyotes, and I did that, and it was 7 weeks. It was a little shy of 7 weeks, but I just say 7 just as a rounding number. This year I was able to do it in 18 days, and since that I've been running a work line, and I've picked up nine more coyotes, and then I picked up a couple fox. So going pretty good. I'm hoping that potentially I can hit maybe 150 coyotes, and then potentially hit 200 canines total for the year. That would be badass, I think. And not that it's just a goal of mine. It's a goal of mine, and I don't want it to come off seeming like I'm bragging, or like, you watch any of my clips and you see, well, hey, he's catching 9 kites, or he's catching 5, or he's catching 11 or 12. I don't want it to seem like it's easy. It's not easy. I run a lot of miles. I set a lot of traps. So like for any of the guys that are just starting out in like beginning trapping, I don't want it to be perceived like I'm the shit or anything, because I work really hard at this and I put in a lot of time and a lot of dedication, a lot of preseason work. But I do know that it can be done, and the more I do it, and the more I get experienced, and the more intimate I get with my properties, or not my properties, but the landowner's properties that I have permission on. It's like it just starts to click and it starts to flow a lot easier, and it you start realizing patterns and draws and locations, and they can switch from year to year, and crop changes, or they come in and bulldoze out this area. It can switch, but you know us being intuitive, and we are highly intelligent people. If you take into consideration some factors, you can figure out a lot of things by yourself, and you really don't need a lot of people to give you guidance or help along the way. It's nice to bounce ideas off of people, but I always say, if you went to school, you can do math, you can do you know how to speak English. It's like, if you are smart enough to know that, you're smart enough to figure out pretty much how to catch a coyote or how to catch a fox. It's just the work you want to put into it, or the dedication you want to give to it. And with low fur prices, it's kind of hard to be dedicated, or hard to be driven if you're money oriented. I'm more goal oriented, and just want to prove that you don't have to have formal instruction, and you don't have to have all of these things that maybe you took, or maybe you've spent on to teach you how to do this. Hopefully this is going to be a channel where you can watch this, you can learn, you can apply all these things, and then hopefully you start having a little bit more success. And with that being said, you can go to any class, you can go to any school, you can go to any instructor, and they're going to teach you a wealth of knowledge, but they will never be able to teach you how to be goal-oriented, or be driven, or be dedicated, or they can't teach you how to work. So that's something that you're going to have to find, within yourself or internally, and you're going to have to make the decision, well, this is what I want to do. I want to go out and I want to catch 500 coon in Ohio, or I want to go and catch 800 muskrats in Ohio, or even 100 or 80. Then you're going to have to make a plan, and you're going to have to take the steps that are necessary to reach that goal. So a lot of times, the steps to success are they're pretty basic, and they're pretty simple. And I think a lot of people are afraid to take those steps to success. They're embarrassed to say, like, all I have to do is go get this permission, or all I have to do is, maybe go out and scout a little bit, or scout a little bit more, or take the time and come up with the knowledge, or find the knowledge of what my target animal is, and figuring out, habitats, locations, food sources, travel patterns. So the thing is a lot of people are afraid to take those small steps, and they're so embarrassed to admit it to themselves that they'll never end up going down those steps and reaching a successful end game, or a successful end of the year picture, or being a successful live market producer. So I just want, if anyone could just take a message away from this, and I'm not trying to preach or be a hype man, but just, you can do it. It is doable. I know sometimes with financials, that can be an issue, but you can figure out ways to do it if you want to. And I've been very blessed with my career, that it has allowed me to be financially stable, and to allot some money into this passion of mine. And even if fur prices were exponentially high, yeah, that would be phenomenal. That'd be the cherry on top for me. But I really just am very passionate about this, and And I hope to maybe push that along or spread that along to some others. And not everyone is wanting to go out there and catch 100 or even 50 coyotes or 25. Then maybe they just want to manage their property, or maybe they just want to go out and be like, hey, I caught 15 or I caught 5, and I'm thrilled and I'm plumb tickled to death with that. So that's phenomenal. I think whatever you want to do, you can do it. So whether you want to go out and catch 5, you can. If you want to go out and catch 100, you can, but you have to take into consideration what goes into catching 5 versus what goes into catching 100 versus what would go into catching 200. So keep at it, guys. And, with all things said, you can do anything you set your mind to. And I wholeheartedly believe that. So good luck this season and take care, fellas.